Over the past 2 years, I've probably sent about 100 emails in the process of organizing TEDx events. And my introductions have always gone a little bit like this. Hi, my name is Stephanie Farmer. I'm a senior at Edmonds High School, and I am the founder and organizer of TEDxYouth at YostPark, the first ever TEDx event for the Edmonds School District. And then I would go on and on asking someone for something. But long before that, I was just a student in a classroom at Edmonds Way. And some of the most inspirational material I'd ever seen projected onto the large boards at the front of the room were talks from TED conferences. Frequently, adults with incredible stories would share their amazing ideas. But they lacked a relatability. I didn't see myself represented in them. That's when I discovered TEDxYouth Events. All of a sudden, I saw people my age making a difference and sharing their incredible ideas. And it inspired me to want to do the same. But this inspiration came at a pretty difficult time. See, I've been a ballet dancer since I was 3 years old, spinning in circles, falling down, and getting back up again. But in June 2017, everything changed. The doctors told me I had a rare, unexplainable brain tumor, an acoustic neuroma, and I was paralyzed by fear. In that moment, I was convinced that all of my dreams were dead, and that I had nothing for me anymore. I felt like I could never dance again, and my story had suddenly become so much more difficult to tell. 2 months later, I checked into Seattle Children's Hospital at 7:30 a.m. The surgery was 13 hours. They peeled back my skin, cut through my nerves, removed the tumor, and left nothing behind but a 5-inch scar, a tiny piece of mesh, and no hearing in my right ear. I didn't understand what was happening to me, and I couldn't explain it without crying. My story became so much more complex, and I was so afraid of what the future held for me. But all of that went away the second I tried to understand my story, and I knew the only way I could do that was by expressing it. So I started writing more and more, but most importantly, my dancing had an all-new layer of meaning. It wasn't just a conglomeration of movements anymore. Every single step I took was a justification for all of the pain I had gone through. I had found a method of expression and a way to tell my story. But I looked around and realized that a lot of people my age didn't have that same blessing. So many teens felt silenced and disrespected by the people in their community. I saw people my age pleading the city council to let their voices be heard. They were venting in feminism club and being silenced in English class. And I couldn't let this continue. I wrote an article for the school newspaper about our dance team, and a member came up to me crying, explaining how meaningful it was to see her story being told. She reminded me of how I felt right after my surgery, isolated and silenced. And I knew I couldn't let that continue. So I passed teens like her the microphone. TEDxYouth at YostPark opened up speaker applications to every single high schooler in the Edmonds School District. And we ended up with 8 incredible speakers who shared their stories and realized that they deserved to be heard. Like Emma. At 17, she was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, a very rare kind of lung cancer. And she told the story about what it felt like to be completely disrespected by her doctors. But speaking at a TEDxYouth event made her realize that her story was worth telling and empowered her to make a difference. A lot of kids my age have complained about how boring our town is, how little we have to do with our suburban lives. And I'll admit I used to do the same thing. I grew up in downtown Seattle going to museums every weekend, so when we moved to Edmonds, I was pretty convinced there was nothing for me there. Until I started listening to the stories of the people around me. All of a sudden, I realized that there were kids my age, in my area, struggling but overcoming their obstacles and creating an impact. Like Jared. He grew up with autism, and doctors told him that he would never even be able to walk. But now he's a thriving junior at Linwood High School and defied all of the odds. He wanted to tell his story and prove to everyone that we all are superheroes in our own way and we all have unique talents. My complaining classmates needed to see this. They needed to see kids their age making a difference in their communities. TEDx youth speakers are teens who have checked off step 1. They prove that we don't have to wait until we're older to make a difference. Teens can start making change right now. The reason why TEDx Youth at YostPark exists is the same reason why every school in the world needs a TEDx event. They amplify the voices of young people, and they encourage other people to make a difference. Now, I am not saying that organizing is easy. Remember how I started by explaining that I had sent 100 emails? I can guarantee you that at least a quarter of them were dedicated to trying to figure out what to name the event. I asked for TEDx Edmonds, and they said no. I asked for TEDx Edmonds Schools, and they said no. Edmonds School District, Edmonds Teens, Edmonds Youth. No, no, no. I'm 17, and organizing this event gave me gray hairs. But all of that was worth it the second I walked onto the infamous red rug to introduce the event. These voices of these teenagers deserve to be heard, and every hour I spent building by hand an X for our stage was worth it when I started to hear their stories on stage. Every single teen in the whole world has an incredible story that deserves to be heard. And TEDx Youth Talks are an opportunity for those ideas and prove that teens have ideas worth spreading. Thank you.